Today we continue with our new class, Shabbat Kitchen. Today is class number 5. And we start with Sefer Shmiras Lashon. And today's topic, meriting divine favor. Okay. However, if HaShem will judge a person with compassion and seek to find his meritorious, the sum of the good deeds, the sum of his good deeds will remain intact. Okay, which is very interesting. We're going to explain. However, if the person will merit the full measure of Hashem's attribute of compassion, then the sum of his sin will be diminished. For many of them will be found to have been carried out unwillfully, or will be attributed to some outside factors for which the sinner will not be held responsible. In summation, Hashem has infinite ways through which to find the individual meritorious. Through such consideration, the individual's good deeds will outweigh his sins, thus granting him the eternal status of tzaddik. So what Chafetz Chaim is saying here, that if Hashem finds somebody meritorious, so his account, let's say, right, for whatever reason, he meritorious, meaning that Hashem is going to give him something extra, right? So his account of the good deeds of the mitzvahs is not going to be affected. It's like extra, it's a gift. And same with the attribute of compassion. So attribute of compassion that Hashem would erase some sins. How? That they were carried out unwillfully, right? He didn't want to do it. He did not know. There were some circumstances. Okay. Continue. Okay. The way in which heaven judges an individual is reflected in the ways in which the individual acts toward his fellow on this earth. If it is his way to judge the others favorably, then heaven will judge him favorably. As we always say, it's measure for measure, right? So we judge people favorably. Of course, it's not. Let's not take it out of context and that we have to judge everybody favorably. Absolutely not. Only people who, as we learned before, whom we're obligated. Like somebody is a righteous individual, then we're obligated. If it's if somebody is 50-50, so if it looks like that he did something wrong, so even in this case we should. Or if the individual 50-50 and it's 50-50, maybe he did something wrong, maybe not. So only we judge him favorably. If most likely he did not do something wrong, something right, then it's a different story. And whoever is a not righteous person and he's a sinner, so we're not obligated to judge him favorably. In some cases, we are forbidden to judge him favorably. Okay. So that's so we don't take it out of context when we say judge everybody favorably. However, if it is the way of the if it is his way to view others critically and express his views to others, meaning speaking Lashon Hara, then heavenly angel will speak of him in the same fashion. So as we said, measure for measure. Thus, one must always bear in mind that the moment that he expresses a judgment of his fellow's action, he's determined the way in which he himself will be judged by heavenly court. So as soon as he said, okay, this he's going to judge somebody else, so that's okay, that's the law. Okay, we're going to judge according to what you judge others. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, stop here. So we continue with our class Shabbat Kitchen, and we are on chapter 3, and this section is immersing foods in hot vessels. Okay, so part number 5. The laws of Kli Sheni, second vessel. So we did the Kli Rishon, the first one. Now in the first vessel, now we're talking about the secondary vessel. Hot liquids, when transferred to Kli Sheni, right, second vessel, do not cook all foods and liquids like a Kli Rishon. Okay. So as we understand, if you have a let's say very hot water or tea, whatever, in one cup, if you pour it in the second cup, it's already not to be as hot as it was in the first cup, right? That's they say that's a big difference. Okay, so there is a note. It should be noted that styrofoam cup and a thermos are both considered Kli Sheni, even though their walls retain the heat for to some extent. Okay, that's very, very interesting note. So we have this thermos. So even though you put in the hot liquid in the thermos and it's going to keep it hot for a while, right? Nevertheless, we call it Kli Sheni. Okay. Kli Sheni is still deemed capable of cooking. Okay, continue. However, Kli Sheni is still deemed capable of cooking foods that require relatively little cooking. The sages classified the certain foods as easily cooked items and determined that these foods are so sensitive to heat that they can become cooked in Kli Sheni. Okay, so let's try to understand. So in Kli Rishon, we said in the first vessel, everything is going to cook. It's on a fire. It is taken off the fire. We said it does not make any difference. I mean, if it's if the content is above Yad Saladas bowl, right? Okay. And now we're saying that what? That some foods, as we know, for some foods you need only a few minutes to cook, and for some foods you need 3 hours to cook. So some foods would be in category for easily cooked items, and some are not such easily cooked items. So if you put a raw piece of meat, it's never going to get cooked in the second vessel, basically. Okay. But if you put there, I don't know, we're going to see some things. They're going to get cooked, like tea leaves. They easily cooked. Other things. Okay, so let's see. Over the centuries, however, our knowledge of which food items be classified as easily cooked has diminished. Therefore, the Paskim rule that we must treat all the foods and liquids as easily cooked, except those positively known not to be. Accordingly, it is forbidden to immerse any uncooked food in a Kli Sheni, except for the listed below. Okay, so we're going to see the exception. So since we don't have exact knowledge, and since it could be Torah prohibition, so we're trying to go most stringent opinion. Okay, meaning what? We're going to treat Kli Sheni, secondary vessel, exactly as a Kli Rishon, as a first vessel, primary vessel, with exception. Okay, let's see. In general, any food that may not be immersed in Kli Rishon, for example, uncooked spices, previously baked goods, containers of uncooked foods or liquids, may not be immersed in Kli Sheni. So, I mean, that's a general rule. Whatever you cannot cook, immerse in the first vessel, Kli Rishon, you cannot immerse into the Kli Sheni. However, there are several areas in which we treat Kli Sheni leniently. Okay, so leniencies that apply to Kli Sheni, secondary vessel. A, foods known not to be easily cooked may be immersed in Kli Sheni. Okay, let's see, what is it? B, cooked liquids that have cooled, may be reheated in a Kli Sheni. So some cooked liquids that cooled completely, right, may be reheated in Kli Sheni. Okay. Continue. C. Soluble pre-cooked foods may be dissolved in glycerine. So meaning in a secondary vessel, as we're going to discuss, right? And D. Pouring water onto food from a glycerine is permitted. Okay. So now we're going to go in all details one by one. So A. Items that are more easily cooked, that are not easily cooked. I apologize, not easily cooked. The following items are definitely not considered easily cooked and may be immersed in glycerine. Water, right? So as we say, water. I mean, to cook water, you need much more than glycerine. Okay. Oil, ginger, cinnamon, and pepper. Whether the last three items are in a powder form or whole form. So powder meaning the cinnamon, ginger, and ginger in a powder, cinnamon and pepper. So it does not make any difference. They're not going to get easily cooked. Concerning salt, C52, page 52. Okay, we're going to get to it. Continue. These items do not cook easily and require more heat than in glycerine to cook. Therefore, they may be put into glycerine, even if they will be heated to Yatzalat Bo. So very interesting. So we said that cooking is described at Yatzalat Bo temperature when hand recoils. And Yatzalat Bo. One second. What did I want to say? And even though these things, right, these items are going to can get as hot as Yatzalat Bo, so we say this temperature in a secondary vessel anyway is not enough. Okay. To illustrate, it is permissible to pour cold water into the hot water in a glycerine, even though the cold water will become hot to the degree of Yatzalat Bo. Thus, one may add cold water to a cup of hot tea or coffee in glycerine. So sometimes, like, I don't know why it would be so hot, but let's say it's very hot and person wants it's just a warm tea, right? So he has tea in one cup, which is a secondary cup because he had to pour tea from somewhere, right? And he can add cold water. Or in our case, when we use tea essence, so it's always cold because you prepare before the leaf, so you put bags into teapot, and then you pour water in your cup, hot water, and you pour tea essence. Of course, it's cold, so we said there is no problem whatsoever. Okay, continue. However, although the glycerine did not cook, although the glycerine does not cook the above mentioned items, some poskim rule that glycerine is if glycerine is very hot, that is closer to the boiling point, to 112 degrees Fahrenheit, or I think it's 100 of Celsius, right? It can cook any item. Preferably, one should follow this view and pour the boiling hot tea or coffee into glycerine before adding cold water. Okay, so it's very, very interesting, right? So they say, so even though it's not going to cook, right? According to what we say, if it's so hot, as you said, the boiling point, right? It just stop boiling, and then you want to pour into the cup. Right, so if you want to put this cold water into the cup, right? So don't put in the cup cold water and then add the hot water. Do it opposite. Put hot water and add cold. So in this case, this water in the cup in its glycerine is not boiling any longer, and so that's the solution. Continue. B. Previously cooked liquids. Cooked liquids may be reheated in klisheni, even if they have completely cooled completely. This is permissible to thus it is permissible to add milk, whether or not it is dairy, to the cup of hot coffee, klisheni. Because the milk has already been cooked, there is a pasteurized. So commentary. The part of milk, whether made of soy, almonds, oats, rice, or coconut, are also cooked. Additionally, any pasteurized juices are considered cooked and for halachic purposes. So it's very interesting. So I mean, it's very practical. So a person who wants to drink coffee and he wants to pour milk. So all of the milk, it was pasteurized. Pasteurized, I don't think it's necessarily boiling point. I'm not sure what is the temperature for pasteurization. And same with almond milk and other milk, which is not dairy, but they all were cooled. That's why they can stay without spoiling, I don't know, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even more, right? Because it was cooked. Continue. It is similarly permissible to warm up a baby bottle containing milk or another pre-cooked liquids by immersing in a klisheni. Okay, so we said in a klirishon, in the first vessel, it is forbidden, but in klisheni, you can put. So you put from the urn, you put into some container, and in this container you put a baby bottle. No problem. Okay. So we're talking about previously cooked liquids. See foods that dissolve. We have learned that soluble foods, for example, coffee, that have been cooked should not be dissolved into in hot liquids that are in klirishon. So a klirishon is never allowed. This coffee, right? Even though they have been previously cooked. It is permissible, however, to dissolve these pre-cooked foods in a klisheni. Therefore, instant coffee, instant hot cocoa, instant powdered tea, sugar, artificial sweeteners, and salt, which were cooked during the factory processing. See page 53, we're going to talk about it, may be dissolved in hot liquids that are in klisheni. So technically in klisheni, we can do a coffee, right? If you want to do a coffee, you can do it in second cup, which is actually if you take the water from the urn, it's going to be the first cup, but it's klisheni. I mean, we don't do that, but that's absolutely no problem if somebody wants to do that. Okay, continue. Deep pouring from a klisheni. So when you pour from something, it's like the degree is going down. Pouring hot liquids from a klisheni into food is not subject to the rules of klisheni, but falls under the lenient category of klishlishi. So when you pour from the from the cup, so you pour from tea kettle, right, into your cup, so it's already secondary vessel, and when you pour from this cup, so they say there is no problem whatsoever. So this water from the cup is already the third vessel, right? About pouring from a klirishon, just to remind us, you say even if the stream of water is still connected to the vessel, it has a status of the vessel. Okay. Summary. Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been listening this, so I'm wondering, the question is it allowed to design a blech in a way it will overcook food on Shabbos, meaning the reheating elements will have almost the same temperature as the stove?
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, let me tell you this thing. So when you put on a blech to warm up, so the food is ready 100%. It's 100% ready. If it's not cooked completely, you are not allowed to put on a blech. Understand? We good? You clear?
So overcook is no issue?
Yeah, yes, yeah, because you spoiled food.
Because one time I asked about this, and it was like not permitted to use elements that are intended for cooking.
No. Look, even if it is if it's stove, regular stove, right? It's intended for cooking, no problem. But you cover it with blech and your food 100% ready. So what you want to do? You want to just warm up. That's it. So if it cook more, that's not what you want. It's spoiling for you. You understand? So person does not want to. Usually, that's not a good idea to overcook food.
So, but I am thinking more like, for example, in the Sephardic custom about the tea leaves, because you can design the blech in a way that concentrates the heat only on the stove that is left on Shabbos.
Okay.
Before Shabbos.
Exactly.
So I am thinking, is it allowed to design so it will have very high temperatures, and when you use even using the third vessel method, it will cook, even overcook the tea leaves.
No, but I mean, overcook is not good. You understand that's not what your intention. Since it is not your intention to overcook, you just want to warm, so there is no problem.
So, but what if you design this system of blech and vessels in a way that it will indeed cook tea leaves, for example? No,
we're going to the tea leaves is actually one of the exceptions that is going to. But let's say you put these tea leaves, right? You will put hot water, right? Boiling water before Shabbos. Let's say, right? It was already before Shabbos. So and you have blech, and in blech, as you said, there is let's say you have a stove. You have 4 burners, and you left only 1. So there is we're going to learn there are 3 different areas right above the flame, the hottest one, near that area, and the third one is as far as possible. So and we're going to learn that in some cases you're allowed to move from one area to another. You understand? So if, for example, if you leave the tea leaves, I mean, and it's going to stay there for 26 hours or whatever, how many hours, it's not helping. I mean, the tea was ready before Shabbos, period. Can you drink the tea? Absolutely. But you left it on the blech, it's your own business. There is no problem whatsoever. So
the example would be, I found a method of third vessel that it must almost have a high temperature of water. So I am wondering if that is permitted, because it's almost the same temperature as regular boiled water. So I'm thinking if it is permitted.
But what is it? Is it electric or?
No. You put the blech,
yes.
And if you use certain pot with a certain shape, it will concentrate the heat more efficiently. So I was wondering if that is permitted.
You see, that's the issue. If you wanted to concentrate this heat efficient, that's the issue. You see, when we said when we have a blech, and on a blech you put some inverted vessels. So
yeah.
you put like this, and you put upside down. Why? Because with all your actions, you show I don't want to cook. I just want to warm food. So people come to your house, and that's this guy. What are you doing? You say I'm warming up. So they know you're not cooking. this food, it's for other people, right? So this this food was ready before Shabbos. Nobody's going to cook like that. But when you put this some vessel that concentrate the fire, the heat into one point, so that's how people cook. That's defeats the purpose. You understand?
Yes, that's the issue. I was wondering if eating is allowed. It's a way of.
I don't think so. But based on your explanation, it defeats the purpose. We will try to show that's not how we cook.
So it would be not to have so hot water on Shabbos, according to the Sephardic custom, in a way that you will have almost the same as in weekday.
What do you mean?
That is every time I was wondering that maybe I am cheating because it's like the same. It's the water. In other words, put this in other word, is 100 degrees Celsius. Mm-hmm. Almost 100 degrees Celsius. So another way of asking this is if it would be allowed to have 100 degrees Celsius water during Shabbos, even using all these methods of the vessel.
Eventually, of course, if you leave it long enough and it's all covered, it's all sealed, eventually it could go up to this point. Right? But it's not our issue. We do not care about it.
So will be forbidden or
no? It would be permitted. It would be permitted.
Okay.
And sometimes it is true where you leave a soup. Let's say you leave soup on the blech and it's very hot. It's boiling. It is slowly simmering. It's not like boiling, but it is 100 degrees, I think, because it's been stayed above the burner for, I don't know, like this 18 hours or so. So of course it's very hot. Not 18. I'll take it back. Maybe 12 hours.
Because I'm thinking to finish this, this section. I was thinking that you have to even take care that the blech and the inverted pot will not reach certain temperature. I was thinking about that.
Okay, I mean, but if it's it depends what material that they're made from, right? So we use aluminum. So aluminum, like in a thin walls, it's like heat it very fast. You understand? So I mean, and plus the time. So for us, for example, to warm up the food, we need like 2 hours, 1.5 hours minimum. Okay. So, okay, so summary. The only uncooked foods that may be immersed in a cliché are those that are not easily cooked. This, as we said, water, oil, this, what is it? Ginger, cinnamon, and pepper. Okay, they're not cooked so easily. Okay, so we can put it in a cliché, right? But other foods, since it is doubtful, so we treat cliché strictly. So one more time. The only foods that may be immersed in a cliché are those that are not easily cooked. Not. Oh, okay, here's a list. Okay. Water, oil, ginger, cinnamon, and pepper. However, if cliché, so it's cliché secondary list, is close to the boiling point, it is preferable to pour the hot water into cliché before adding any of the above five items, because we saw this stricter opinion. They say that since it is like close to boiling, it is very hot. Okay. Previously cooked liquids may be reheated in cliché. So as we said, you can add milk to your coffee or cold water to the coffee, no problem. Soluble foods that were previously cooked during the factory processing, for example, instant pre-cooked coffee, may be dissolved in a klisheni. Putting from klisheni falls into category of klishlishi. Okay. So technically, as we said, there are many authorities who said it's very clear that you can do this instant coffee or instant tea into this secondary vessel, no problem. Okay. So now section number 6, loss of klishlishi. So the third vessel. The third vessel, right? A klishlishi is a vessel to which the contents of klisheni have further been transferred. Okay, so from one to one to one. Okay. Once transferred to klishlishi, liquids do not retain the capacity to cook most of the foods. Therefore, it is generally permissible to immerse any raw food or any raw or cooked food in a klishlishi, no matter how hot the contents of klishlishi are. Additionally, as mentioned above, it is permissible to pour from a klisheni into the raw food or cooked food. Okay, so let's try to understand. So now if we're talking about cups, so from kettle I pour into the first cup, and now I'm pouring in the second cup. Okay, so they say according to most of the paskim, nothing is going to get cooked in the third cup, even if it's very hot, even if it's yad soledes bo, right? So they say you can put there raw food or cooked food, or even food. It does not say here, but I just want to add foods that were cooked, not cooked, prepared differently. So something that was baked, right? For example, you can put matzah in your soup now, because matzah was baked, soup was cooked. So we said in a primary vessel it's not allowed. In a secondary vessel we said maybe. So in the third vessel we said for sure you can do it, no problem. Okay, but of course there are exceptions, as we said. Exceptions: foods extremely sensitive to heat. So meaning just a little and they're cooked. There are, however, several foods so sensitive to heat that they can become cooked even in klishlishi, so in the third vessel. These are tea leaves and eggs. Okay, so basically eggs. I mean, maybe they're not going to get cooked as people want them to, but on some degree, yeah, of course they're going to get cooked. Eggs and tea leaves. Okay, continue. So that's why Ashkenazi custom, we don't put these tea bags in any vessel, right? Because it's going to get cooked.
Question. Eggs, boiled eggs will be forbidden because you cannot check if they are right.
Say it again. The boiled egg would be forbidden.
Boiled eggs would be allowed or forbidden because you cannot check if they are fine to eat.
You mean in a spot, the blood spot, or what are you talking about?
You put the egg inside boiling water. The entire egg is allowed, or it's not kosher?
No, it's not. It's not allowed. We just said it's going to get cooked even in a third vessel. So all other foods they're not going to get cooked. What I added from myself is maybe it's not going to get cooked completely like hard-boiled egg, but it's going to cook egg at least to some degree, for sure.
In the rest of the week, it's allowed a boiled egg?
Yes. Yeah, if you know that there is no problem. So basically the problem, just to explain your question, so since we're recording, so the problem with the eggs is a blood spot, right? There is a blood spot in the eggs. So we obligated to check the eggs and see if there is a blood spot. But if you check many eggs from this company, right, from this distributor, and there is no problem, so you're not obligated to check every egg. You understand? So, for example, we some time ago, so my wife said, let's buy this fancy schmancy organic eggs. like organic. It costs 3 times more. Guess what? Out of dozen, we had to throw like 6 of them. 6 of them because it's so natural, so good. Had this blood spot. We have to throw out the complete egg, which is waste of money, right? Because there is actually a rooster involved in the process, this and that. But when you buy the regular eggs, the cheap one, not cheap one, but regular one, no, not organic, like some. So they don't have roosters. You understand? That's just chickens by themselves. So maybe, I don't know, maybe in a year that we check, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 eggs. That's it. So technically, if it's such as minor insignificant number, so you can rely on Chazakah that you don't need to check this specific company. So we check anyway because we use it for baking, for this and that. So you have to like cut the egg open. But sometimes when you want a hard-boiled egg, so you can rely on statistics that there is no problem. You understand? But it should be the same company, and from time to time you should check them anyway, but not every egg. Okay. So continue. So we said, okay, extremely salty fish, though unfit for consumption due to its due to its saltiness, is also mentioned in Shulchan Aruch and its commentaries. It is forbidden to heat these items by pouring the liquids of the kli sheni, the third vessel, or secondary vessel, onto them, or by immersing them in kli shlishi. So, okay, so let's explain this extremely salty fish. So in all the days that they didn't have all of the refrigeration and stuff like that, so that the only way to preserve fish was to put a lot of salt, and same as meat, right? So, but this fish is, as we know, fish is readily cooked, is easily cooked, right? So when they put a lot of salt and it gets absorbed into this fish, so basically the fish is ready, right? So, but of course it's not edible. So you must pour like hot water or soak it in hot water for some time, and then it becomes edible. So they say, since of course it's from Shulchan Aruch, so they say you are not allowed to pour on this fish from a second vessel or immerse in a third vessel. That's the thing. I mean, I don't think anybody doing it today, but we never know. Continue. Furthermore, even if hot liquids are transferred to the 4th or 5th vessel, hot liquids, it is forbidden to heat these few items inside them. So this eggs and tea leaves, right? And let's say this fish. Okay, but fish is not so common. Let's say this tea leaves, and what is it? And eggs. Okay. As long as liquid is yatzel edesbo. So if this liquid is so hot as yatzel edesbo that your hand is going to recoil, you're not allowed to immerse this tea bag, right, or tea leaves. Because why? It is deemed capable of cooking tea leaves, eggs, and salty fish, regardless of how many vessels it has been transferred to. So that's what we actually follow. So even if it's 10th vessel and it's still hot water, so it's going to cook these tea leaves. So what we do is there is always a solution, of course. So let's see. Yeah, go ahead.
More than a question, that was my question, the initial question, and that now is answered. So that doesn't matter how many vessels you put. If it's going to cook the tea leaves, it's not allowed.
Yes. If it's water above yatzel edesbo.
So, but this is only according to Ashkenazi custom.
Ashkenazi custom is to go with stringency with this. Yes. So I think that the way I understand the Sephardic custom, they can do it in a third vessel, not in a second one, but a third, because it's so Ashkenazic poskim say it is exception. Sephardi, I think Rabbi Yaron said there is no problem.
So, but only for tea leaves, not for other type of hot drinks.
I'm not sure what they say about eggs. I'm not sure. I never checked what they say about eggs.
Oh, okay.
But Ashkenazi custom, as we said, it's only two items, two exceptions: tea leaves and eggs. This salty fish, nobody is using this salty fish basically. Okay. It is therefore prohibited, for example, to use tea bags containing uncooked tea powder on Shabbos, as the tea leaves become cooked by the hot water, unless the water first cooled below Yatzel bowl. For the permissible methods of preparing tea, see practical application. So we're going to discuss it. All other foods, however, may be reheated in klishlish. Okay. Understood, right? So only two exceptions. Okay, but if the temperature is below Yatzel and so there is no problem. But some people they cook this they use this instant tea. Instant tea, it's like a powder. You can do with cold water if you want. It has like even lemon sometimes taste, and tea taste, whatever you want to do, right? Hot water or cold water, also very popular. And the last sentence says, all other foods, however, may be heated in klishlish, in a third vessel. No problem. Summary. All foods, whether raw or cooked, may be heated in a klishlish, the third vessel, or by liquid pouring upon them from klishein. So you see, the temperature is dropping from vessel to vessel, except eggs, tea leaves, and extremely salted fish, which may never be heated with a liquid that is Yatzel Adasbo. Okay. Section number 7. Cooking with heat of solid foods. Cooking with heat of solid foods. Seasoning dry foods. Okay, seasoning dry foods. The laws of solid foods differ somewhat from those of liquid with regard to these three grades of vessels described above. The term solid foods in this context refers to any food without any visible gravy. For example, meat, chicken, kugel, kishke, and dried cholent. Okay. So basically, we're talking about something that's solid foods. Let's say you have a piece of meat, right? And you put something on this piece of meat, and this piece of meat is going to cook whatever you have. Right? That's and this piece of meat does not have any liquid, no gravy, nothing. Okay, or a piece of chicken. Okay, continue. Solid foods in a kli rishon. So kli rishon, we said, is a first vessel in which it was cooked, initially cooked. Solid foods in a kli rishon are like liquids, capable of cooking anything that comes in a contact with them. Okay, so solid foods, this piece of chicken is going to cook anything that is going to get in contact with them. Therefore, it is forbidden to add uncooked seasoning to any food in a kli rishon, right? Even of the fire, as long as the contents are Yatzel Adasbo. So we're going to see the examples. So what would be the example? Some herbs, right? That they're not cooked, right? So we would not be allowed to add them in a kli rishon on these solid foods. Liquid condiments, specifically ketchup, barbecue sauce, or hot sauce, may also not be added to the hot kli rishon. Although the ketchup, barbecue sauce, and hot sauce are pre-cooked during the factory production, they're nevertheless subject to the prohibition of recooking cold liquids, bishul, achar bishul. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so now we're talking about this liquid condiments. On one hand, this ketchup, is it liquid? Some people say it's not liquid. Barbecue sauce, also they were very thick, right? And hot sauce, and I would say maybe mayo or mayonnaise also would be in this list. So even though they were cooked during the preparation when they were doing, so and when making, let's say, this ketchup, we consider it as a liquid, even if it does not look too much as liquid to us. So it's considered to be liquid, and it's not allowed for us to add it in a clear Rishon. Why? Because liquids. So it is considered as cold liquid. Cold liquid. So cold liquids, we said, we're not allowed to add to the clear Rishon, even they are cooked, even if they were cooked. So it's like stringency. Okay. As we said before, so we consider it those items as liquids. However, dry pre-cooked seasoning, for example, sugar and salt, if cooked during their production, right? See page 53, we're going to get to it, may be added to hot solid foods, even if clearly shown, as there is no prohibition against recooking dry items. Okay, so let's see the note. So basically, salt, we're going to see how exactly it was prepared. So if it's a sea salt, so it's one thing, because that's how they make sea salt. They evaporate the water. So maybe they cook, the water evaporates, and only salt leaves. But it's not all of this salt is made like this. Okay, so we're going to discuss it. Let's see. So one more time. So if it was cooked and now it's dry, completely like sugar. Sugar was also cooked, right? It's considered to be a solid food. So salad on salad, we said there is no problem. You can warm salad with salad. Solid foods with solid food. Commentary. Note, although we learn about that items that dissolve may be heat, when heated, may not be added to hot liquids, right? That's two different things. Even though they have previously been cooked, such pre-cooked items may be added to hot solid foods. Okay. Such maybe added to such. So with liquids we cannot use it, but with solid foods there is no problem, as we said before. The reason for this distinction is that when dissolved in liquids, soluble foods are themselves considered liquids, right? Because salt, as I said, it was let's say salt, right? It was salty water. Then they evaporate the water, and they're left with the solid particles, right? But initially it was liquid, so that's why it calls liquid. So one more time. The reason for this distinction is that when dissolving in liquid, soluble foods are themselves considered liquids. So when you put salt or sugar, let's say, when we put sugar in the water, so sugar in this case is considered to be liquid, even though it is in a solid form. And are subject of the prohibition of recooking cold liquids. So to put sugar in or salt, right, the salt that was cooked into this into the soup, but not be allowed. If it is a piece of steak or whatever you have there, so some solid hot foods, no problem. Liquids, problem. However, when dissolving on solid foods, soluble items are treated as solids. So this salt is going to be a solid food if you put it on a piece of chicken, and therefore exempt from the prohibition of recooking. I hope it's not very confusing, but in my own words, right, and to simplify things. So this sugar and salt, they were cooked during the process. So it depends how you use it. So if you use it with the liquids, we consider them as liquids because it was they're liquid and at one point of the preparation. For sure, it was liquid, right? But if you use those sugar or salt with solid foods, we consider them as solids, and there is no problem whatsoever. Okay, continue. So 1 second, let me see how much we can do. It's very long chapter. I'm going to finish now. No way. Okay. So continue. Uncooked spices. Maybe we finish at least this section. Uncooked spices. So one more time. These things as a sugar and salt they were cooked. Now we're talking uncooked spices. With regard to uncooked spices, we follow the stringent view, right? That they're going to get cooked, which always consider solid foods to be a clear rishon. So we're not talking about at what actually physical vessel this piece of meat is, right? We're talking about this piece of meat was transferred even to the person's plate, right? So accordingly, one must refrain from seasoning any hot solid foods with uncooked spices. Okay, see page 40, where we covered it. Regarding those uncooked foods that do not cook easily, okay, whether in a pot kli rishon or a platter kli sheni, okay, or in a plate kli shlishi, okay. As long as the food is yatzalet as bo, so we don't add it because even if it's so they say we cooked in this vessel, then we transfer it into the second vessel platter, this platter that we put on the table, right? And then everybody take from this platter piece of, let's say, this chicken into his plate, into your plate, and it's going to be already third vessel. But we say no problem. Actually, there is a problem if it's still very, very hot. This piece of chicken or meat is going to be able to cook this salt. Don't do it basically until it cools down. Okay. Next, number 2, pre-cooked liquid condiments. Okay. With regard to the pre-cooked liquid condiments, for example, ketchup, barbecue sauce, hot sauce, where the question is one of the recooking, one may follow the linear view. Okay, once transferred, once transferred, solid foods are reduced in the status of kli sheni. Okay, therefore one may pour pre-cooked condiment onto dried foods in kli sheni. So it's very interesting. So okay, we said that we are allowed to warm up the cold liquids in a secondary vessel. As we said, you can add milk, right? Cooked milk, pasteurized milk into your coffee, right? Into your tea, whatever you want to do, right? They say that there is no problem. There is no problem. Then in the case of the meat, so even this piece of chicken is still very hot, but it's not in in a primary vessel, in a secondary vessel, so you can put ketchup. There is no problem. Okay. So continue. So it's like sort of leniency, but when you warm up on the black, so I mean, most of the time it's not so hot. I mean, it's hot, but not so hot that your hand is going to recoil. It's not. So C, next one. Common problem is with hot solid foods. Okay, as mentioned above, a solid hot food has halakhic status of kli rishon. So, as we explained before, in some cases we count how many vessels from one vessel to another it was transferred. But in cases of the solid food, so this solid food is itself is called the vessel, right? Because it's so hot. Even you transfer, so because it's solid, it contains inside heat. That's how I understand. That's why it's capable of cooking. So one more time, as mentioned above, the solid hot foods have the halakhic status of kli rishon, meaning that it's going to cook. Thus, kli rishon primary vessel. Thus, the common problem of cooking arises when the hot solid, for example, chicken or dried cholent, is served on the plate together with uncooked side dish, such as coleslaw, very interesting, cucumber salad, or other vegetables. Since the raw vegetables or their dressings are likely to come into contact with the hot solid food, the solid foods will cook the uncooked food or juice. According to many authorities, this should be avoided. Other authorities rule that in this instance, one need not to be concerned. It is praiseworthy to follow stringent view if possible. So let me explain. So we said this piece of meat is going to cook in any vessel because of its inside temperature. So they say, okay, it's very good, but many times you're not going to eat just a piece of chicken and that's it by itself. You're going to put some salad, right? You have salad, cucumbers, tomatoes, stuff like that, right? So and they're raw. So meaning what? If they're going to get in contact, or they have juices, right, from tomatoes, right? So this juice or this piece of tomato is going to get cooked with this piece of chicken. So they say most stringent view is said don't use it. Don't, if it's so hot, don't put it in the same plate, right? Until the temperature drops, or I would say maybe the different solution, eat from different plates. Don't put it in one, but it's stringent. But other authorities say no problem, it's not going to get cooked. I mean, halachically, they give us permission not to do it. No, they give us permission to eat from the same plate, even though this hot piece of meat is going to touch this salad, which is raw, right? Or they say coleslaw, which is a cabbage, it's also raw. Or they say maybe with cucumber salad, it's also raw. They say no problem. So technically, as I say, you're allowed to follow this lenient view if you want. If not, we can always praiseworthy. They say follow the stringent if possible. But from my experience, it's never so hot, never ever. I mean, even if you transfer, like I don't know, you sit and talk, and until you put this out in your plate, it's not going to be as hot. Okay. Summary. Pre-cooked seasoning may be added to the dried foods. So dried foods in a first vessel. Right? Even the kli rishon, even if kli rishon, in a pot in which we cook, we can put salt, let's say, right? No problem. Continue. Pre-cooked liquids, condiments, for example, ketchup, may be used on dry foods only in a kli. So as we said, put it in a secondary vessel, kli. You can add ketchup on dry foods, even if it's above yatzel adasbo, there is no problem. So, okay, continue. Uncooked spices should never be used on the dry foods that yatzel adasbo, because uncooked spices, we said for sure they're going to get cooked. Okay, regardless of how many vessels they have been transferred to, as we said. So because the inner heat is going to cook even if you put in it fifth plate. Doesn't matter. It is praiseworthy to keep uncooked foods, for example, salads, from coming in a contact with the hot solid foods in the same plate, as long as the hot salad is still yad salad as well. So, but as we said, there is a lenient view that we can rely on, and what we can do. Okay, we can stop here because it's the next topic, which is very involved, I think. Okay, any questions on what we said or what we did not say?
Other topic.
Go ahead.
How do you say that, the sweat of the hands, if they can
sweat from the hands?
Yeah.
Sweat,
yeah. Because the last time I understood that plastics can hold tumor. What about the sweat?
No. What, plastic can hold tumor?
Cannot hold.
Cannot. Okay.
Maybe metals, yes.
Metals, not maybe. Metals for sure, yes.
Mm-hmm. But what about sweat? And isn't sweat an element of impurity?
Sweat is not element of the impurity. Actually, no. 1 more second. Actually, you're asking a good question.
Moisture.
So I'm going to tell you why you're asking a good question. So for example, you want to pray right now. You want to pray. You want to learn, right? And you scratch yourself, right? Like underneath your short. So they said that you have to go and then wash your hands like you do in the morning. One on the right, on the left, right, left, three times. So why you say what did they do? Because this particle of sweat, right? And you have to remove them. So in some sense, yeah, they have some impurity. Yes.
So you have to wash your hands as much as possible during all days to ensure.
No. Only if you touch these places that are usually covered, right? So if you touch your face, I don't know. If you touch your hands, there is no problem. You touch your neck, there is no problem, because you touch your ears, no problem, right? Because it's places that are not usually covered. So and only if you need to pray, if you want to pray or learn Torah. For all other reasons, you're not obligated.
Yeah. Yes, because I mean, if you wash your hands too much in a day, you can maybe cause some damage in your hands.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering how much of important is to do this.
Exactly. That's why we will learn not to scratch ourselves in the places that are really covered. So if you want to scratch your head, so you do with the kippah, right here on this time.
And how much time? Or it's all day? I suppose you scratch your head, and it's all day the impurity.
Yes.
Until you wash, it's impurity.
Exactly. So,
but
one if you're not obligated to if you don't want to learn Torah, or some even say blessing, but it's a little stricter, right? So you want to eat an apple, whatever it is, that you wash your hands.
Okay. Another question was if the sins related to promiscuity are seen at any age.
I think it depends what, but for boys from promiscuity, I think it starts from 9 years old.
Oh, because Reuven said some other things is like 20 years old, something like that. I'm not sure. But promiscuity maybe it's all age.
Okay, from 20 years old. So let me finish what I was saying. So for boys it's from 9 years old, but for girls it's from 3 years old. What you were saying, what you heard from 20 years old, it's a judgment in heaven. So when you read Chumash, it says that for example, if somebody is Michal Shabbos, he's going to get he's going to get death penalty. So and there, if you see Rashi says clearly, if there were witnesses, and they actually warned the guy, so he's going to get the death penalty from the court, right? But if there were no witnesses, only HaShem saw, so he's going to get the death penalty from heaven. And for many things, if you read, they say death penalty by the hands of heaven. So this death penalty for these affairs starts from 20 years old. But if there were witnesses and they were him from 13, so earthly court can execute from or give punishment, right? From 13 years old, and heavenly court from 20. That's the difference. But you ask different question. You start about promiscuity. It's from 9, because his relations with a woman is already relations. 9 years old.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
that's okay. All right, Baruch Hashem. Thank you very much. So thank you for learning. I mean, it's a little difficult subject on one hand, but on another hand, don't think that just because we discuss it one time you're going to be an expert, right? So you do 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and it's going to be very easy and smooth. Okay. So good night until tomorrow. Same time. Thank you.
אני מברך את הרבנים, רגע, אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בישועות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל מה שיפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכו עוד לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הודיעו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה. איפה הוא גר? בפלורידה. פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה. במיימי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעבירו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.